Jim, let's talk about the financials. So we've got a little bit of things going on. When I look at the ETF, the XLF, it's been doing pretty good over the last few months. And then we've got these bank stress tests again. So I'm trying to figure out, is it a good idea to get in financials? Are we starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with them? And if so, let's talk about names.
Okay, I think that what's happened, Deborah, is that we're going from a period where usually you buy the banks first in recovery to this time buying them last. And the reason I say that is because the actual epicenter of the decline in the U.S. economy was housing. And the companies that really were the most levered to housing weren't the home builders themselves. They actually did quite well because of that ridiculous tax credit that they got. But the banks, because the banks have an inventory of homes, and we should really be thinking of them as home owners. Just a gigantic owned and can't get rid of home companies. And I think that if you get an increase in home values where they stop going down, and you have interest rates so low, and you have affordability so great, then the possibility of that inventory and all the people that they have to service it will diminish. And that's how you get earnings. See, people don't understand. They have a huge number of people who don't generate any revenue. All they do is work on this stuff. If you can get rid of those people, and you can get rid of the inventory, and then you get earnings expansion. And
they've had it really a 1-2 punch because, like you said, we've got this whole housing issue and mortgage situation with the banks, and then you've got the credit card. That's the other second punch. So if we start to feel comfortable about financials later on, like you said, do you go with the names, the specific names? Do you go with an individual name, like a JP Morgan, or do you just go with the ETF and say,
no, I don't want to do the ETF because I think I think that I'm a stock picker. Someone's going to go with the ETF. I think that the regional banks have already really outperformed. U.S. Bancorp, its ActionAlertsPlus.com name has been extraordinary. Wells Fargo is doing very well. Bank of America not doing well. But Bank of America is the most levered. They have the most homes. They had Countrywide, but I just think it's going to be a challenge bank for a very long time. Citigroup is 65% international. Really isn't a way to play this kind of thing. Goldman doesn't own any homes at all. Goldman is a M&A play and a trading, and there you've got a lot of problems with the Volcker rule, and you have problems with Dodd-Frank. So the regionals don't. Huntington Bank doesn't, and Key doesn't, and Fifth Third. I would rather own a New York community bank, NYB, and I'm not that crazy about that because I think that I don't know how much growth there is, but I think people have to come back and say that the regionals are going to trade better than the internationals.
All right, so stay away from the big names.
Except for JP Morgan, which I really like. Now, it's very interesting. JP Morgan, I think they talked about net interest margin being better, and they talked about revenue growth, but the stock has lagged. I thought it was going to break out here. I still think the chart is very intriguing. I'm doing some work on that, only because I just think that there's a breakout here. They're going to be able to return a lot of capital. Jamie Dimon's the most confident I've seen him in years, so that's just my favorite play.
All right, JP Morgan Chase.
This market is
stock pickers market.
Stocks have rallied this year.
We're coming into a Monday where we're going to